Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dial Swedic Tactics. October is coming to a close. As such, I gotta redo my tier lists, and in this video we're going to be going over my Hyperevolved or Hyperevolution slash exclusive 30 tier list. Who you should Hyperevolve and who you should spend your red runes on in this game. Now, bear with me. I am still suffering from the plague. There are going to be moments as I talk where I'm going to have to take moments to just unleash my lungs, and I hope I don't blow out your eardrums. So thank you for bearing with me. Please just I would wait to record this video, but I have only so many days left in the month and I want to get it out. Okay, so we're gonna go right to it right now. Let's go like this. Now this sheet is linked in the description of this video. It is on my master Eternal Evolution spreadsheet. Now this is a combined X30 Hyperevolved list, and it's a little bit messy. It's a little bit convoluted, confusing, but generally it's broken down by class, and you can see up top here it says exclusive these 100%, highly consider these X30s, and then X30 may or may not be required for the third column. But really it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. If you've ever asked the question, I have a bunch of red runes, who should I X30? Or I have a couple SSS evolution crystals, who should I Hyperevolve? One, read this yellow box up first. So, Hyperevolve first column heroes to start. And this is important, keep this in mind. Prioritize those who are already X30. Prioritize teams. Right? So it's really more beneficial if you get 2 X30s in one class, because that's going to elevate that class or that team up to a more usable point than if you just do 1 X30 from every class, even though you might want to do that too. After the first column, if a hero is preceded by a green box, right, like these green boxes, then they are a good candidate for Hyperevolution. Those heroes preceded by a red box are likely to be replaced at some point in time by a new released hero. Now, currently there are no red or yellow boxes, although if I was going to put one, I would probably put one before Leo. Because Leo could probably even be replaced by Batu at this point. But yeah, he could. He could very well. He probably should be. So keep that in mind. So I'm not going to change it right now, but we'll leave Leo on here for just because he's still a great hero, and new accounts will probably get Leo. But that's how you kind of got to read this. First column, most important in their class. Second column, most important. Third column, least important. But you should still do the third column. If you have 3 X30s and 3 Hyperevolved units in each team, that'll benefit you, that team the most, right? Very highly. So let's start out at the top. Now, if you saw my my best heroes in the game tier list video, which came out today as well, I had a really tough time picking who is the best energy unit. Now, all 3 of these I'm going to kind of give equal status to, because Coriolis was the last hero to come in the game that really solidified the energy team back as to being a cohesive good team. So I would almost rate all 3 of these units, give them equal weighting and rate them as highly for candidates for Hyperevolution and X30s. Now, Coriolis, his X30 is going to ramp up the damage for all AoE units. Northion's X30, I think, also increases or has synergy for all energy units, whereas Jane is just going to do obscene amounts of damage, right? So all 3 of these, if you were going to pick any 3 energy units to Hyperevolve or to spend red runes on, these would be the 3 to do. And then we get into the tanks. Now, Panda is a no-brainer, the first tank you should Hyperevolve and X30. because without Pandemonium you don't have a tank team. That's just straight up. If you do not have Pandemonium, it basically turns your Wamagon into your Tresh as meat shields with no damage. Whereas Pandemonium is what makes them damage dealers as well. Wamagon, I should say that. That'd be a little bit too critical. Wamagon does do good damage, but you need Pandemonium on a tag team. As such, he should be your first Hyper Evolution and first X30. Now, you could make an argument that you don't really need Teresh's X30, which is why he's last on the list. Do the first two first, right? Wami, you definitely want his X30. But Teresh may or may not be required, right? And the same with Hyper Evolution. Hyper Evolution basically just gives a unit 10% more HP, 10% more attack, 10% more everything, right? Just 10% more stats. Generally, Hyper Evolution is reserved for attack dealers first. Or DPS and tanks first versus supports. So this list, I think, is very cut and dry. X30 Hyperevolve Panda first, then Wamagon, then Teresh. Hunters. Now, this is a little bit different. For Hunters, it's a little bit different than they were on their tier list. For the overall tier list. Rebecca, still unequivocally, undisputed, #1, who you should X30 and Hyperevolve first. She's the best damage dealer. She's also a needed unit for synergies on all your Hunter team. After that, Ryzeris is also needed on the Hunter team to make a Hunter team go. But what Ryzeris' X30 does is it gives her a second revive. Is it a second revive or one revive? It's another revive. So Ryzeris is definitely a good X30 for a Hunter team, but definitely not needed. Whereas Arcadia, I think, giving her X30 makes her ultimate triple directional. Gives her way more damage, and you're going to get way more benefit of X30 Hyper Evolving your Arcadia versus X30 Hyper Evolving Ryzeris. So that's why I like to do these lists separately, because whereas Ryzeris I rank second overall as a Hunter unit, when it comes to Hyper Evolution and X30s, she's definitely third on this list, and you could make an argument you don't even need to X30 her, much like Teresh, whereas I would X30 Arcadia for her damage output. Vanguards. Okay, as we said above, Ares, if you've got both of them, if you got both Barag and Ares, those two are must X30s, must Hyper Evolves. X30ing Ares and Barag make them gods on their class. Right? Ares can solo whole teams. You need Ares X30. You could make an argument why you don't need Barag and Leos, although I still advocate getting Barags just because X30ing him makes him, his final form, makes him that survival beast. Barag can put out a lot of damage. He's a disruptor. He stuns a lot. He screws the whole field. He reaches into the backline, pulls enemies forward. Barag and Ares are needed on a Vanguard team. Ares, undisputed #1 in this class for Hyper Evolve X30. Barag, definitely, I would still Hyper Evolve X30. Now, when it comes to this third spot, I am going to replace Leo with Batu, as of having seen Batu do better recently than Leo. A new account. If you started during the collab event, you're probably going to have Batu versus Leo. Yes, I don't think you should X30 Leo anymore. So let's just go like this. There we go. Let's just get rid of him. Let's not talk about him. Leo, there are so many more better candidates to X30 and Hyperevolve. I can't in good conscience leave him on this list. So I'll put Batu here. I don't have Batu X30. I'm not gonna. I'm probably not gonna have a reason to X30 Batu for a very, very long time as more units come into the game. But if you were gonna go all in, say like you wanted to go all in on Vanguards, and that was gonna be your team, which will serve you well in PvP, not so much PvE. Batu would be your third choice here. Assassins. Now, you see this yellow box right here. It says, if you have Korra, she is highest priority assassin. But I left her off of this list because 99.9% 7% of people don't have a Korra. As such, this list is bang on. You want to do X30 and Hyperevolve your Dominic first, then your Motoko, then your Rickert. Now, is Rickert's X30 necessary? In my opinion, still yes. I think all three of these should be X30 Hyperevolved, and this is the order you would do it if you were going in all in on your assassins. Now, would I recommend Hyperevolving Rickert and X30ing him before, say you wanted to go all in on assassins, because they're still the best team in the game. You're going to use them for the majority of your content. They can clear the majority of the content in the game. Would you X30 these two first? Yes, but Rickert, you would probably want to go, after you do these two, you would probably want to go and do like an Ampu Sif, or a Panda Wami, or a Carrie Jaina, right? You would probably want to do him last. That's why I say work on the columns first. Do the first column first, then go back and work on the second column. Or if you want to focus on a team specifically, you can go 1, 2, then go to a different team, 1, 2, different team, 1, 2. This last column should be done way down the line. And if we're being honest, a free-to-play account will probably never have enough red runes to do this last column if they're not done already. That's just fact. Unless they buy the yearly account. I think that we should make a caveat so that if a free-to-play player wants to buy the yearly bundle or the yearly pass, they still get to keep their free-to-play status, just given the fact that it's going to give you 2,080 red runes that are going to allow you to hyper-evolve 7 more characters. And we got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we got 7 classes. So, yeah, food for thought. So, Assassins. Dominic, Motoko, then Rickert. But if you do have Korra number 1, enough said. Summoners. Okay, this is the same list that they were on the overall tier list. Sif. Sif is the damage, god of the team. X30ing her is going to give her massive damage. I think she is a mandatory first Hyperevolve X30. Then Ampu. Ampu's damage is going to be determined by Sif, right? Sif is going to, well, not really. Ampu's damage. Ampu should definitely be X30 and Hyperevolved as well. I say these two are the must-haves. And then Doralee, her X30 is basically going to make the Summoner team make Doragon unkillable. Doragon's just going to refresh over and over and over again. But Doralee is a nice-to-have X30, but not a mandatory X30. She's a nice-to-have Hyperevolve, but not a mandatory Hyperevolve, which I guess is the same with all the people in the third category here. Sif, definitely number 1, Ampu number 2, Doralee number 3, 4, Hyper Evolution, and exclusive 30. You see, Dan's not even on this list anymore. Nope, bye Dan. Then we get into the support class. Now, you see another yellow box right here with a lot of little asterisks. I do not recommending hyper evolving your supports. Why? Because, say, like Purin, the only thing she's going to get from Hyper Evolution is more HP, and her healing is based on 1.5% of her HP. You're basically going to get no benefit from Hyper Evolving your Purin versus, say, a little bit more survivability, but really that doesn't matter. I don't have any of my supports Hyper Evolved, and I don't see any reason why you should too. That is just a waste of a SSS Hyper Evolution crystal, in my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, put so down in the comments why. I would really like to be interested to know. But I do not recommend Hyper Evolving any support unit. Now, that said, X30, exclusive 30ing. Purin is one of the best heroes in the game. You have to X30 her. You have to. You just have to. Then you can kind of debate between Miranda and Fiona. Miranda, really good for hunters and energy. And you can put her on other teams, right? Because she's going to give the highest 2 units. Her X30 is going to give her 1 more injection, which is 20% more attack. Very, very, very good. Fiona, Fiona, her X30 gives 1 more immunity phase, but only to Vanguards and only to Assassins. As such, that is why Fiona is number 3 on this list, whereas Miranda's X30, doesn't matter the class, she is going to give an additional injection, which is a free revive, and basically a free revive to ultimate after death, and free battle-wide, event-wide, encounter-wide boost to attack by 20%. So this one, no-brainer. Purin, followed by Miranda, followed by Fiona for exclusive 30, but not Hyperevolution. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the Hyperevolution / exclusive 30 tier list for the end of October going into November of 2023. The safe word of the video for today is going to be the same as my other tier list. It's going to be plague, because I am still suffering from the plague. I think I made it through this video somewhat unscathed, but I am definitely going to pop some meds after I get out of my office this afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, put plague down in the comment section. I will thank you profusely, and I will know that you suffered through 20 minutes of me rambling about what you should do with your resources in a mobile game. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all. Till next time. Where's my mouse? Cheers, peace. Bye-bye.